Stay tuned and listen up. What's up, everyone? We are back with Dance, Biz, and Cafecito. This is episode number 8, and I'm very excited today because we had the amazing Renata in the house. Woo, woo, woo.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, I'm very excited to have Renata here because one of the things I really admire about Renata is that she has been able to take her career to a bunch of different places beyond dancing.
Trying.
Yeah, trying. We're all in the journey. Yeah, but I think it would be a really cool story for you guys to hear, and that's why I wanted to invite her here and let the world meet Miss Renata.
Yes.
What's up, girl?
Nothing, just chilling. So, do you want me to say a little bit about me?
For sure, okay. Yeah. Tell everyone, who are you? What do you do for a living?
Okay, well, my name is Renata Bresciani. I go as Miss Renata on Instagram and all my social medias. I am currently an actress, a fashion blogger, and a stylist.
She's doing everything.
Yes. Yes. I was a professional dancer for 15 years. I retired 2.5 years ago. And I owned a clothing brand, and I was the designer and the owner and basically everything for a clothing brand called Immaculate Streetwear. It was streetwear for 7 years, and I just closed it about 4 months ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, girl. Well, I would love to get into the story. Like, let's get right to the good, the juicy information.
Let's do it.
I know you just kind of told everyone, like, what are you up to now and all those amazing things that you're working on. But I would love to hear more about, like, your journey as a dancer. Like, how did that start? And was that the first thing you did? Because, like, did you always know inside you that you wanted to do styling and fashion? Was that always there, or is it kind of something that you just stumbled upon the way? Like, tell me the juicy info.
Well, since I was little, you can ask my mom. Since I was little, like 2 years old, 3 years old, I've always wanted to be a dancer, a model, a singer, an actress, a news reporter, a skater. Basically anything that had to do with being like on a stage in front of people and just, perform. So I was a gymnast for, I want to say 9 years. I was a gymnast for 9 years. So I started gymnastics at like 3, 4, something like that. And then it transitioned into dance. So I was dancing and in gymnastics. And then I had a hip injury, and I just transferred to purely dancing because it's not that like heavy on your hips. And so I really started focusing on dancing, I want to say, in like 5th grade, 6th grade. Nice. And so I was dancing in middle school, all through middle school. And then in high school, I went to a magnet school, and I had the opportunity to audition for a studio called MDA Studios. And MDA Studios, the owner, her name was Maiten Monten. She's from Chile. She's a famous actress in Chile, performer.
My God, I remember MDA.
Yeah. Yes. And I am Chilena, and my parents are Chilenos. So all my parents, all my family, they know who she is. So I auditioned, and it was a musical theater, dance, performing, singing, every performing arts you could think of studio. And I auditioned, and I got in, and I got a scholarship. And I got in, when was it? I want to say it was 10th grade. So that opened up the doors for me in the sense of performing on television. That's when I started performing on TV. When I started performing in Sao Gigante, all the channels in Univision, Despierta America, basically anywhere you could think of. Even when I was still in high school, and I had my first performance in Premios Juventud, and it was Pee Wee. So I was like not even legal. I think I was like 15 or something, So I've always wanted to be a performer. I've always had a dream to just be in the arts. But dance just came, I guess, easier. I had nobody in the family. I mean, my mom tried her best, but she didn't really know the details of the industry here. So it was just like really me trying to find my way and like what I can getting agents, and like the studio opened so many doors for me and things that they just led the way, right? Instead of me trying to figure it out or seeing what is safe, what is not safe,
Yeah.
And that's how I started my journey with the arts. With dance. And
I feel like those years, I remember MDA because when I moved from Puerto Rico to Miami, I remember that's where Aníbal Marrero used to teach. And back then, if you wanted to be a booking dancer, you got to get in front of Aníbal Marrero, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember being there, and like so many amazing dancers came out of that studio.
Yeah.
Like Kat Rendick, I remember Michelle Burgos. That is like
well, we
now
all
Pitbull.
studied together
Yes.
since we were small. Yeah. And obviously Kat's my dance, my dance Kat's mom.
Yes.
And Michelle and Kat and I, we all grew up together. That's why we're all super close friends.
Yes.
Aníbal came like later in the game. Aníbal came, I think, when I was already a senior. So I was already there like 3 years dancing.
Yeah.
But we performed everywhere, like you name it, with every single artist. We were young, but every single young artist, every single event, every single television show. So that just really opened up the doors for me. But I always wanted to dance. Like I remember when, I remember before I went in elementary school. This is like my big memories of wanting to dance on Salsa Gigante. Because back then, Salsa Gigante was like the thing. Like you had to get on there if you want to be a star. I was in 5th grade.
It's like Star Search, but for Latin America.
Yes, I was in 5th grade, and I wasn't with MDA yet because I went with them in high school. I didn't even know they existed. And I was outside with a J-Lo song, okay? Jennifer Lopez back then with her first album, and I was choreographing my solo to send a tape in to Salsa Gigante to audition. No, and then later down 4 years later, I'm dancing on Salsa Gigante after 5th grade. 4 years after 5th grade. It's just crazy how it worked out.
It is crazy, man. Like, damn, Salsa Gigante, like for veteran dancers, because back in the MDA days and Sábado Gigante days, there was really not like an industry of dance. Like how you said, something you said stood out to me. It's like there was no path of how to make it as a dancer. You kind of just had to figure it out and stumble upon information as you were out there doing things and gigs, and and that was the path. You just kind of keep jumping from one thing to the other until you're kind of like booking with artists on Salsa.
Yeah, you find your way. Obviously, you dance in school. I danced throughout school and everything. And then if you have money to be in a dance team, then you're on the dance team too. If not, then you're in like the secondary dance team. Like you make your way around until you meet an agent, until you just like little things, right? That's how it was. Yeah. And then in gymnastics, I think gymnastics opened the doors for me in so many ways just because I knew how to flip. So I was the flipper and everything, But that's just how it was back then. There wasn't too much, there was no dance agents, period. Not even one. Yeah. And it was all just like acting agents. And then they will, if you were a dancer, they would just like add that as a skill, but it wasn't like a dance agent. And then they would take you to the auditions that needed dancers, but it wasn't like a full-blown dance audition,
For sure.
That came later in the game. I want to say, that came when I graduated high school. It was, I graduated high school in 2006. So I'm going to say like in 2007, that's when like Janet Jones opened her agency. And that's like the first dance agency. But I went through all of middle school, all of high school without that, which was just MDA.
So funny story is that I actually moved here from Puerto Rico to Miami because of Sábado Gigante, like you said. Like we've all competed in that show, and when I moved here, when I came to compete in Sábado Gigante, that's when I met Aníbal. And Aníbal was like, if you move here, you will have work. Yeah. And I already was in love with like how many dancers and opportunities I was seeing. And I ended up literally like a few months later, maybe about a year later, I ended up like my mom took her life savings and her and I moved here. That's crazy. That's how I ended up like, it's just through Don Francisco from Sábado Gigante. He made it happen.
Basically.
Crazy.
I know. This Chileno gave us many opportunities.
This Chileno.
Que vive Chile.
I know. That's crazy, man. Okay, so I want to know, so you danced, you trained, you did gymnastics.
Yeah.
How did the switch into fashion, styling, acting, like when did that happen, and when did you discover you had a passion for that?
Well, I've always had a passion, right? So my mom was a photographer, so since I was little, my mom would take pictures of me modeling. Yeah. But there's like pictures of me at 4 years old getting long gloves, scarves, and just like posing. I've always loved it, always. And then, I don't know, I think I had to make many opportunities for myself, even in the dance world, because I feel like there was a certain time that the opportunities here were very slim and very much like in a group.
Yeah,
like only these certain amount of dancers will get work, and they would not open the doors for anybody, right? And I was somewhat in that circle, but not like a favorite, right? So I was like, I'm gonna make my own opportunities. Like, this is a goal. This is like, I want to be big. I've always said it. I want to be famous. I'm gonna be
famous. I'm gonna be superstar.
Yes, and
that's one of the things that I really admire about you. That like, it's true. It's one of the things that I've always admired about you and certain people within the movement. Like you became a social media influencer before a bunch of people here did. Like, you just knew that was something that was going to happen for you, and you stuck to it, and you work hard, and look at what happened, like, and what's been happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's always been my goal. Like, you ask my mom, you ask my friends, even like my best friends, they would laugh at me. Like in high school, I'm like, no, I'm gonna be famous like that. Like, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be a dancer, actor, singer, whatever. And they're like, legit, you're serious. Like, you're telling us this, and it's funny to everybody, but you're not joking.
Yeah, you mean
I'm like, no, I'm not joking. So like, when I saw that I had so many opportunities, but then like it kind of closed a little bit in Miami because like certain choreographers only wanted to work with certain people, whatever. Things are completely different now, so dancers take advantage.
Yeah, there's more opportunities, but
way more.
There's a lot more opportunities, but because of like some guests that I have on the podcast and stuff, things kind of still work the same in a way. Like, if you want to book with a specific person, you need to be in front of that person's eyes and be pushing until they freaking book you. Like,
yes, but now you're able to be in front of people's eyes a lot more.
Yes,
people have a lot of classes, a lot of dance classes. We didn't have that back then, so it's very different. So because of that, I felt like I needed to make my own opportunities, right? So I got an agent for acting, because I've always acted with musical theater with MDA. So I got an agent for acting, and then I just started. I don't even know how it happened. Like, back then, I do not suggest this now. Do not do this, please, because this is like really bad. On Craigslist.
What?
Yes, I would look for work, like dance work and auditions on Craigslist. I found so much, and that's how I met an agent. That's how I met a PR agent that is the agent for every single famous reggaeton artist you can think of now.
Through Craigslist?
Yeah, but I don't suggest it, okay?
Yeah, nowadays, that is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, and then with those little auditions, like, I met other girls, and then it just, like, my network opened up, so then I just started getting called by artists' management, to choreograph for them, to dance in Despierta América, in Un Nuevo Día. They'll have like promo tours for 2 weeks in South Florida, and then I would do the promo tours with them. And it just started opening up. So I'm the one who started having the contacts. I was the one that started hiring the dancers,
I
right?
didn't know this.
Yeah, that's why I got Sam. That's why Sam danced. Like, the first time Sam ever danced with Ozuna was because of me.
That's awesome.
Like, or Nicky Jam was because of me. Yeah. So it was me who I started getting the contacts. I was the one that was
always being resourceful out there.
I think you have to.
I love it.
You have to, like, if doors don't open for you, you need to open them. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to quote that
for
this episode.
And then in the meantime of that, in all of that, right? I also started go-go dancing, dancing at nightclubs.
I did that too.
Yeah, all of us did that. I also started doing like musical theater, burlesque shows. So the burlesque, let me get to that. So I have like a very pinup old school look with my face, and I started modeling like pinup retro. Mm-hmm. And I just did it for fun one day because I'm like, oh, I kind of look like them. Let me do it. I was going to
ask you, how did that happen?
Yeah, let me do it. I'm like, Mom, I could do it. My mom was like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. We got a photographer. We did it. And that one freaking photo shoot, like just blew up. Then I started getting called from brands in California, photographers in California.
Is that your look? Your look. I always make fun of myself. Your look is so unique. Like, yeah, it is. It's so traditional.
It's old school. Yeah.
Pinup. Yeah.
So I started getting called, and I started traveling basically all over the U.S., working as a pinup model and also working as a dancer back here. And I loved both. And I worked so much as a pinup. I was traveling so much, and I came to a crossroads. It was like, you either need to move to California for your pinup career, or you're just going to focus on dancing. here. And it's hard for me to move, not because I'm scared or anything, but I love my family. It's just hard for me to be away from my family.
What's hilarious? Well, not hilarious. I think it's such a coincidence, a good coincidence that the last episode that I recorded with Sophie and John Jeffrey, that they're in LA now, they were talking about that. Like, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to leave the place that you love, and you have your things there. It's all about what you do with your resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I've always wanted to move to Cali, but when I got to the crossroads, I was really young too, and I maybe if that would have happened to me now, maybe I would have moved. I don't know, but at that moment, I was like, no, dance is easier in the sense because
you're like,
in a sense, it's easier, not like physically or like training wise, but it's easier because like I know the network, right? And I'm home.
Yeah, around the business.
But moving to Cali in a pinup industry that I'm in, that I don't know how long it'll last, was very nerve-wracking. So I didn't do it. So needless to say, God knows what he does, because the pinup industry has died. Has died down a lot. Like, all the pinup models that I work with that are working models, they're not pinup models anymore. Like, they're doing other things. They still like rock the look, but they don't. So it died down. So thank God I didn't do it. And then I kept dancing and like dancing. I did so much work. I made a living for 15 years as a dancer. I put myself through college as a dancer. Wow. Nobody paid for my college. You know what I'm saying? So like, I really did a lot I made really good money. Is it stable money? No. But if you're smart with your finances, you can make a lot of money as an 18-year-old. You're like a loaded 18-year-old, if you're smart with your money. And then in between that, when you go to castings, when you go to auditions as a dancer, not as an actor, you need to look fly. You need to look dope. Your style needs to look dope. I've always loved fashion. And I always noticed that I was going to stores and buying men's clothing and like cutting it up and like this. This is a men's shirt,
Yeah.
And I was like, why are there no brands like this for girls?
Oh my God.
Why?
Here we go.
And I'm like, okay, there's none. So I'm going to make one. So while I'm dancing, so I made one, and it's Immaculate Streetwear. I opened Immaculate Streetwear 8 years ago this month.
We literally, before we started filming the podcast and recording, Renata pulled up what's it called? One of the memories.
A time hop. Yeah.
And it said today is the day of
the first photo shoot I released. And I opened it, and I had it for 8 years up to this month. And it was great because nobody had streetwear. Like, very few people. There's a few brands that I really look up to had streetwear. There's like 3 women's streetwear, but nobody knew about them here in Miami. So my brand blew up, and it was great while it lasted. Now fashion's different. There's streetwear everywhere, but it was legit the only women streetwear brand that catered to men as well, but that like people really digged. And I did that at the same time. So that opened the doors to my love. I've always loved fashion, but that opened my doors to design, to fashion, to aesthetics, to like what fits good, quality versus bad quality, all of that. So that opened the doors to that, which I'm very grateful. So I was doing both at the same time for many years.
That's amazing, man. I remember every time I would travel here and I like see her pop-up shows, I'm like, yes, I get to buy some Immaculate straight from Renata. Like,
yeah,
I used to love rocking it because as a dancer, like urban,
nobody has.
Now it's huge, and like everyone kind of.
Now you go to Target and there's like a streetwear shirt, and you're like, oh, that's cute. Like,
yeah,
what?
For real. But back then, it was so hard to find like authentic streetwear that made you feel dope, and like even one of the things I loved about it is like I could wear it to go out and dress it up, but I could wear it to dance too.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, that was the whole thing. It was for dancers. Because I made it. I'm a dancer, and it was made by a dancer for dancers, and for women especially, and with a message behind it. But it was work because I was dancing full time, and I had a clothing line full time.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I admire that so much.
Thank you.
How did that get to Renata becoming a stylist, and
man.
When a question that I really want to know is like, when did you start? Because obviously you have a sense of figuring out like, this is something dope that I love, I'm gonna do my own thing, like when was the moment that you really realized like there's so much potential within social media and you were like, I'm gonna go 100% into this game and brand myself and kind of like go from there.
So when I opened the clothing line, and with everyone has always talked to me about my style, even 10 years ago, like, oh, she's dope, the way she dresses, you know, before it was even like a social media thing. Always. I mean, ask like everybody. I would always do crazy shit. People are like, oh, what is that? Like, you're so extroverted with your style. And I'm like, whatever. So with the clothing line, and then like I just loved fashion. So I remember even like 7 years ago when Instagram was still a baby, I like would take outfit of the day pictures, and like I got reposted by outfit of the day. Like,
seriously?
Do you know how hard it is to get reposted by them now? Like, you have to pay them to get reposted, right? Yeah. So I got reposted by them. I got reposted by Dime Piece, like at an Art Basel, like everybody, just the way that I would dress, and I wasn't even like trying to be
you were just being authentic to yourself. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, a lot of people like my vibe, right? So I like the way they dress. Let me just take pictures because I'm good at this. Let me just take pictures of this as like far as content. And then like it just evolved to something natural, right? Like me just taking pictures of my thing. I have my clothing line. I have to shoot my clothing line. I have to put out lookbooks for my clothing line. I was modeling as well. So it all just really happened organically. And then plus all my modeling pictures with the pinup world at the same time that I styled everything. Yeah. I creative produced all my shoots. So like it all just happened organically. And it was like the things that I was making that like put fire in my soul, right? So with the mix of my pinup modeling that I created, produced it all, my fashion line that I was the everything to it, right? And then plus dancing, like dope videos, looking fly with your costumes, you know, taking pictures, posing, whatever. That just like sparked something and was like, people like what I'm doing. Like I am
not like you have a knack for this.
Yes. Yeah. So I want to get big, and I've always wanted to get big. So let me put good content out, like good pictures. Let me care about the stuff that I'm doing. And it really just happened organically. It wasn't so like let me do this. It was just like, this is what I do.
Yeah, like it wasn't a gimmick. It's just, it just happened because you were doing what you love.
Yeah. But then like influencer, I'll tell you how like the influencer thing happened.
Yes.
So I decided to retire from dancing.
Retired.
I'm like, truly retired.
I love that though. It's like you have to know. I was talking about this recently in one of the podcasts. You have to know when, the same way you have to know when you actually have natural talent at something. You have to know when it's time to move on and refocus and readjust. And do. At the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself and what you love and what you're trying to do for your life as your goals.
Absolutely.
So if it makes sense to retire from dance and it's time and that's what you're passionate about, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, so like I retired. Don't get me wrong. There's still like a dream that I have of dancing that I would love to one day do. Is it realistic? I don't think it's realistic just because you got to train. You know, I'm not training because I'm not dancing anymore, and that's okay. Yeah. But I decided to retire because, man, I was at a crossroads. This was like 2.5 years ago. So I was dancing. I got hired to be like one of the lead acts for a musical theater show. It was like a dinner show. We worked on it for months. It was amazing. Like, it was amazing. It was like all my burlesque glamour dreams. You know, with the best costumes, gold everywhere, rhinestones everywhere. No, it was amazing. Like my glamour dreams, right? And dancing and theater in it. The show closed down, and I was just at a crossroads. It was like, do I keep getting these random like jobs with artists and then like doing my shows at the Clevelander, because I was dancing I was one of the lead dancers at the Clevelander for so many years, but I had like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows. And do I want to keep missing Christmas? Do I want to keep missing New Year's? Do I want to keep...
Because all the holidays those are the opportunities that you get paid double and stuff like that.
Do I want to keep getting home at 2:00 in the morning every day? Do I want to keep doing that? Or do I want to focus on my clothing line that's doing so good? But if I don't give the 50 hours a week I need on my clothing line, I'm going to lose what's happening. Right? Because momentum. I had Becky G wearing my stuff. I had Jermaine Dupri wearing my stuff, and he had a show, a rap show. All of them were wearing my stuff. I was in a fashion magazine. Like, so many things were happening with me. Nicky Jam wore my stuff. So many things that I was like, you need to focus on this,
Like,
or you're gonna
there.
lose this hype, right? And I was going to New York for trade shows, and it was just great.
Wow.
And at the same time, I was getting a lot of like little influencer jobs, right? People like, hey, we'll send you a package and we'll send you like a $50 gift card or something here and there. And my husband was like, and I was already look, I will always love dance. Dance is my first love, right? But you get tired when it's not stuff, when it's not creative fulfillment.
I 100% agree.
You get tired.
Understand. I've been there. I can relate to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you're a dancer and you're told what to do and you can't create what you want to do, that's very draining. Emotionally, creatively, and like I felt for already like 4 years, I was getting told how I need to move and what I need to do instead of creatively expressing myself. So I was done. I didn't want to dance anymore. I didn't even want to go to rehearsals, like done. And my husband saw that my passion for it was gone. And he's like, he's like, you could do this. Like, look, just quit. Let's test it for 1 year. Retire from dancing for 1 year. Do not get another job. Do not try anything else. Only focus on Immaculate for 1 full year. You need to give it minimum 40 hours a week. I was doing like 80.
Oh my goodness.
And see what can happen. I was so nervous. It took me like 6 months to decide.
Wow.
Because as a woman...
That's a big decision.
Yes. And as a woman who came from a single mother...
Yes.
Is like, how am I going to get rid of my income? Like, I know that you're blessing me, right? That you're like, I'll hold it down. But I'm like...
That's my money.
That's my money, you know? My husband's a blessing, so thank the Lord. You know, it's great. But it's hard as a woman to be like, okay, I'm not going to work. That's weird. Obviously, I was working, but meaning like not get your steady money, right? So I did it. A year later, Immaculate grew 2 times more. So it was amazing that I did that. And then like a year later, right? So 2 years after retiring, the fashion market has changed completely. Everything is fast fashion. Streetwear, the streetwear is a trend now, right? It's not a niche. It used to be a niche. Only certain people could rock it. Now you see the girl next door rocking streetwear, right? Which doesn't really match, but it's okay. Because Forever 21...
Respect the streetwear.
Yes, Forever 21 is wearing it. Whatever, right? So I also came to a crossroads with Immaculate and was like, hey, are you going to compete against Forever 21, H&M, AliExpress, all the places, right? Or you have to compete against them, or, realize that you did really well. It is not because you failed. It's because the market has changed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like when looking at it from like a business perspective of like my background comes from working for huge companies like Red Bull, Muscle Milk, Quest Nutrition, and within the company you can tell that the strategy every year
changes,
evolves.
Yeah,
because they understand that the market is evolving. And I think one thing that you've said about like you've established in this conversation so far is like you understand business and you understand the business of who you are as a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And you're able to observe the patterns and like know when it's time to make a smart business decision for yourself.
Yeah.
And to me, that speaks louder than like your business didn't fail.
No.
You succeeded in acknowledging that the market has changed.
Exactly.
And you need to continue looking onto what's
forward,
the next thing. Yeah, looking
and
forward.
To close it before you fail.
100%.
Right? And it was my husband who was like talking to me about it, right? And it wasn't easy because it's hard to do that. It took me 1 year to close Immaculate. It took me 1 whole year to fully comprehend, emotionally let go, because it was my baby.
Yeah,
it was a company I made from scratch. I learned how to design, how to photograph, how to Photoshop, how to advertise, everything because of this baby, right? And I think that I am at the caliber of my content because of Immaculate, right? Because I was forced to learn all this.
That's
so
amazing.
It was really hard to let it go. It took me 1 year to let it go. Within that 1 year, my husband was also, he's amazing. He's pushed me for a lot of these things. He was also like, Immaculate is here. You put in 80 hours a week of Immaculate, right? Influencer, Miss Renata, you put in 2 hours a week. And you're getting paid all this money to do this stuff.
I love it how he's been able to like see your career and be like, let me be your business consultant. This is what you're going to do.
And he's like, you're putting no effort here and you're getting money.
You know, that's kind of a crossroads that happened to me recently. Like around the time you were a big inspiration, like for me to be able to believe that I can actually be making money through my social media. Because for me, that was never even like an option. But seeing people like you succeed made me feel more confident in like, if I'm getting opportunities without even trying to get them and they're paying me and I'm not trying, like even to this day, I told this to somebody yesterday. I was like, I don't even have a media kit or a press kit, nothing. It's like they find me and
they hit you up.
And like, you, like I said, like you just have to understand the patterns and the trends of what's happening and make a smart decision according to what the world is telling you.
Exactly. So he told me that, right? He's like, Immaculate, here you're killing yourself and the money is, because of the market. But here you're not doing anything. You're saying, hey, and then you're getting all this money. He's like, what if we do this? And she's
making balancing hand gestures.
And I was like, okay, I'll try it. So we went on a trip to Europe and I was like, I'll blog about this whole trip. I did. And boom, that's it. Ever since that, like I have work every single month. And then slowly but surely, I made the decision to close Immaculate and full-time focus on acting because I've always wanted to act, but I can't dance, be a pinup model, be an influencer, own a clothing line, and want to act. Like it's impossible. So I had to really do like some soul searching when I decided to cut Immaculate. Like, what do you really want to do, Renata? Like, I know that you want to do it all, right? But you really have to focus on one or two things because if you try to do 5 things, you've always tried to do it all. And like, it gets you, you're good at everything, but you want to be excellent. Yes. And you can't be excellent if you're dabbling on 5 things.
Yes.
Right? So I had to like really think, okay, what do I want to do? And what is long-term? What can be a long-term success for me? Even when I'm 90, acting. Because you can act until you're 100. And so I decided to fully focus on acting and fully focus, 70% of my time for influencer work. And that's it. And then the fashion and the styling, fashion influencer work is the same, right? Styling I do as a needed base. Like if somebody contacts me or like with Unmuted, you know, but it's not something I'm like pushing that I need to get weekly work for. No, it's something that I can naturally do that I love to do because I love to creative produce people's shoots and have a whole theme for them and a pose and a, shot list and all that. I love that. But am I going to fully focus on it? No. So I decided to do that, I want to say, like 2 years ago when we're going to really focus on that. And then here I am now. I just finished a movie.
Yes.
That's going to come out next year.
So many things and so quickly.
Yeah. And there's so many things coming up and so many things when I fully decided to focus on just these 2 that it's great. It's hard. It's still hard because like I'm very true to who I am with my influencer like work. I don't say yes to everything. I say no to a lot of things just because I want to be true to who I am. I don't want to be fake just for a paycheck because that's not what I'm about. So it's hard, and creating content that's true to me too.
Yes.
And then not getting old because there's so much work with influencer. Not getting fully overwhelmed with that and trying to always ground myself and remember that acting is my goal.
That's your focus. Yeah, I think something you said is key when it comes to making smart decisions. Because the whole point of this podcast and why I decided to start it is because I feel like dancers have so much to offer as creative humans in the world, right? And what I've noticed through my experience in Miami, when I lived in New York, and when I lived in LA is a lot of dancers don't see themselves or don't see life beyond their one goal of booking the job. Or, and I think nowadays with what you said earlier, there's so much exposure is easily obtainable nowadays. Yeah. All you have to do is like one thing you're saying, like you decided to put all your, or at least 80% of your effort into this one thing and that's your goal. And by you deciding that, and obviously it's hard work, but you were willing to put in the time, the work and stay focused and zoned into that one thing. You're clearly seeing the results of it, whether that was dancing in the past, then fashion later, your clothing line, then your influencer work, all of that. the one thing that has helped you be so successful, no matter what you do, is that you know what the goal is.
Yeah.
You know what you're trying to achieve for yourself as a human in this world.
Yeah.
And no matter what, you put in the work that's needed for you to make sure you're taking the steps every day to get there, one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's evolved. It's evolved. The end game for me in general was to be big, but it's to be big and to influence people in a positive way, you know, and to help them to believe in themselves and for them to realize like not everybody in the industry is like me, right? Like people really care about other people, and like that's just for you to be a better person, for you to believe in yourself, and that you can really obtain anything that you want. You know, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I know I'm going to be.
Yeah,
you know,
but man, it's all about the journey. Like look at all the stories and all the things that you've been through, and all of it is nothing that you thought was going to happen.
No, and it still isn't. It's so crazy.
Like,
It still isn't. It's a hard journey, that's for sure. This industry is hard.
It's hard,
Very hard.
It's hard, but I mean, like, I think that's the whole point of these conversations that I've been trying to have with people. It's like, accept that it's hard.
Yeah.
Understand what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then figure out the steps in between to help you get there. And then you have to be happy with the journey. And if you're not, then you're not made for this. And like that's okay. You're probably made for something else, and you have to figure that out. But obviously you're made for this. Like people like us and a lot of people I feature on the podcast, like we are made for the journey. Like I can tell you're passionate about the work and pursuing it, and then you know, like goal check, next one, let's go for this one, check, and like that really makes you thrive in what you're doing. And like I think it does take a very specific mindset and personality type to be able to succeed, like you said, become excellent within the entertainment industry.
Yeah, because we're all good. I know that we're all good at like many things. Dancers we're awesome. Like we really are, because we're really good at so many things.
Yeah, like as a dancer, you're a sponge to everything that's happening around you.
Yeah, even like let's say with acting, my transition to acting, with film, everything that you see on TV is really not how it's filmed, right? It's super crazy. So like even just with acting, they tell me all the time when I'm on set, and they're like, okay, Renata, you need to be, your point is here, point A. You need to stay at point A. You need to walk from point A to B. You need to stay there. And to me, that's just a mark. Like in my head, that's a mark. That's my position. So I memorize my position. It is like the floor within me, you know. But for other actors, they forget their marks. And I'm like, how did you forget that? But
you're the dancer in
we're trained, like, you do not move from this mark, because there's...
Stay in formation,
yes, the whole entire time. Because if you move, then you're covering this girl, or the artist is there, or whatever, right? So, like, that's so easy. But other people, they don't think they forget, because they're like, I need to remember my lines, I need to remember my emotion, and I need to remember my mark. And I'm like, I don't even have to remember my mark. My mark is just...
my body naturally knows where
gravitates to it. So, it's little things that we will always use. It's so crazy. It really is.
And I feel like as dancers, it's so easy to overlook something as small as that detail. Yeah. Because, let's say, for example, I have no idea how acting works. It's hard for me to even imagine me being good at something like a mark, because I've never even tried to act or learn or whatever. Yeah. But something as simple as me as a dancer, now that I hear this podcast, I'm like, wait, maybe I'm good at a bunch of things that I don't even know. Yeah. Let me take an acting class and see what happens. Boom. Like how it happened to you with all the stuff you're doing. That could be the moment of like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. Yeah, like never underestimate what you're able to achieve. Like just because you're zoning in on dance right now doesn't mean that 10 years from now you could be an amazing actor. Yeah. Like never underestimate your abilities, because dancers literally are one of the few people in the creative entertainment industry that are able to do a lot of things at once and like not break down and melt, you know, like like not freak out, because it's like, memorize your line, do this, and make sure, change the dance at the very last minute before going on stage.
Exactly.
I used to do that all the time and I hated it, but eventually you figure out that.
No, and it's fine. Hello, that's so normal. Like the other day I was on set, And I was about to go on my scene. I knew all of my lines, obviously. Well, they give you, when you're on set for a movie, you get the whole script, right? But the whole script is like, I don't know, 400 pages or something, right? So, and nothing is shot in order. Like, none of the scenes are shot in order. So you get your shot list the night before. But you just got back from a 12-hour shoot, right? So you get home at 10 o'clock, 11, you take a shower. You're like about to knock out because you have to be on set. Like, 7 in the morning.
Remember all my lines for tomorrow.
And they send you an email late at night and you're like, okay, I'm in scene, whatever, 20 scenes, right? But you don't look at your lines. You don't look at your lines until you get on set.
Wow.
Because there's no time, right? So you memorize them like while you're in the dressing room, whatever. So it was that morning. I already knew my scenes, memorized my lines in that morning. And then I'm about to go to, let's say, scene 50. And the director comes up and he's like, hey, I have to switch the whole entire lines. The lines are completely different. Here are your new lines. We need to go on set right now.
Oh my.
But other people, like other actors, freak out. Oh my God, no, you need to give me and I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. Like, give me 2 minutes. Let me read this. Okay, this is the intention. This is what needs to be done. And that's it. But it's because we're dancers. Yeah, it's because that's happened to me 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You're like, improv. Okay.
That's technically making up your own lines on the spot.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. You know, and people are like, oh, you're not freaking out. I'm like, no, it's okay. But it's all the years of dance.
For sure. That's intense, man.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
Having this conversation makes me realize why it's so easy for a dancer to transition into acting.
Oh yeah. You know, there's a lot of training that goes because for me it took me like a whole year if you ask my acting coach to dancers we're expressionists. Like, we love to express, but it has a lot to do with the facials that we need to do on stage, with the energy we need to do on stage. So when you go into acting, into film, when all your energy needs to be just here in a square on your face, you need to go from level 100 to level 20. You need to tone it down all the way. So it takes a while, but we are such good learners and listeners to what we need to change that it may take like a year of training, but you get there. Yeah. And the person that you are from the year before is a completely different actor from the next year. But because of that, we're very adaptable. It's not night and day because remember, we come from years of expressive energy, you know, and then now you have to kind of internalize it and just use it very little in your face. So it's a little bit hard, especially me who came from musical theater. That musical theater is all out there. No. Yes, exactly. But we're adaptable. We're learners. We can totally do it. And I'm telling you, dancers make awesome actors. Yes. All dancers should be actors.
Damn, I really hope a lot of people listen to this and get inspired to act.
Yes, it's amazing. It's another form of expression. Yes. So good.
And I feel like that's only going to help you become a more well-rounded performer at the end. Even if you don't use it now, you know? Like, I'm inspired to go and I'll be like, Renata, who's your coach?
You should take an acting class. I'm telling you.
Just for fun. I think I'm going to like it.
Yes, you will. No, it's so good. Acting's amazing. It's really good. It's a form of therapy, too, for us. It's just amazing.
How awesome. I wanted to ask... what is next? Because you've done all these exciting things. You're in your acting journey now. Yeah. Is that kind of what you see for yourself, like continuing to focus on? Or do you have other like secret goals that we don't know about yet?
Man, I have so many things. Okay, so obviously my number one is acting. So my goal is to be on Netflix.
Yes, Netflix.
Yes, my goal is to be on Netflix, and the film that I just finished filming has a possibility of being on Netflix next year. So I'm really hoping because that would be great. Yes. There's a lot of, there might be a second part. There's a lot of things. So I think 2020 is going to be a huge year for me for acting.
Look out for Renata, 2020.
There's a lot of like things in the works. So acting for sure. And then as far as fashion and like influencer work, I got invited to my first New York Fashion Week last year.
I saw. Yeah. It was amazing.
So I'm hoping to get invited this year. And I would really, really like to get invited to like Paris Fashion Week.
Ooh, yeah. Yes.
So I'm hoping I do I want to do more high-end influencer work. So those are my goals. But acting is the big thing.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to follow along in your journey,
Thank you.
with the acting. And I mean, I've always been following with your fashion, but the new acting thing is so exciting because of how I remember when we first had the conversation of like, because we haven't announced this on the podcast yet, but Renata is a part of Unmuted brand. She's like our in-house stylist and like fashion specialist, and she does the creative direction behind all of our last photo shoots where we've like done with the entire team.
When we look super fly.
Yeah, when we look really, really fly, and there's like a whole campaign idea behind it. She's the one that came up with the inspiration behind all of those shoots and styled them and all of that.
So fun.
Like, yeah, we could reference all of that on our social medias and on her website. But so like we worked together a lot through Unmuted.
Yeah.
And I remember when that first happened.
Yeah, the first combo.
Something about me is like I always love to know what people's goals are because then that helps me kind of start however I can in my life through things that happen, putting opportunities out there for them or connecting the dots for them, even though like however small it may be. Like I just love doing that for myself.
And just to know their vision and their focus.
And like it helps me feel more passionate about collaborating with people. So I'm always like that. And I remember when we had our first conversation and you were like, I wanna get into acting, and I just started my training and all that. And it's like all of a sudden it's like blink, she's in a movie. What? Yeah. It's like Renata. Yeah. So it's been really exciting. I wanted to ask you something about, because you mentioned like some of your goals with fashion and all that. It's like you would love to get invited to all these prestigious opportunities that happen around the world. And I'm sure a lot of listeners and people watching are thinking like, but how do I get from whatever? Let's say right now, hypothetically, I'm passionate about fashion. Okay. And it's like, okay, I love like styling myself and I would love to start putting my stuff out there more on Instagram. But what would you say from your opinion is the trajectory or things that people can start, little steps they can start taking now to help get them there to like, oh my God, like getting invited to something as amazing as a fashion week?
Well, you're not going to get from A to Z from one day to another. That's for sure.
Step one.
Yeah, that's for sure. I suggest just being consistent. I think that's like the number one thing that you need with your content is be consistent and be true to yourself. So like if you're streetwear or if you're just casual, like be consistent with your content, and you don't need to like fake it. Just, this is what I'm wearing today. This is the brand. Like, look, this is Pretty Little Thing. This is Sorella. I have Fila down here. I have Fitbit right here. And I have Forever 21 right here.
Every single brand you're wearing.
You know, and like just let people, just let people know what's up. And just really, I'm telling you, be consistent. So if it's you posting 4 times a week, post 4 times a week. You know, I'm telling you, just consistency is key. So people always tell me when they talk to me, they're like, Renata, you've been so consistent. Like,
it's true.
Your
and
life has been consistent.
Instagram and stuff, you can see like the phases of each thing throughout your content journey.
And for me, I might not feel like I'm consistent, or I might not feel like I've grown, or just because of the algorithms or whatever, right? But people see things. Remember,
different.
We're in the backgrounds. We're like hustling and trying and heartache and everything, but people don't see that part. So people are like, Renata, you're so consistent. This is so good. So like, just really focus on what your niche is and start creating content and start getting better with your content. You know, your content is not going to be amazing right away. You have to learn. You have to learn how to edit. You need to learn how to, what cameras are good, what presets are good for you, what angles yes, it's true. And it's all a learning process. You know, if you look at my content 7 years ago, you know, it's not what it is today. You know, I know that I've always had an eye for photography, and maybe that's why things have been a little bit easier for me, but my editing has changed. I know what's good for me. I know what's not good for me. So it really is just a matter of being consistent and not being scared if things aren't at the best quality that you want. Because if you don't start now, you'll never get good.
You'll never get there. Oh my God, that's such good advice. I'm quoting that too.
It's true. You'll never, because I feel like, look, progress over perfection. Progress over perfection.
Like strong believer in that statement you just made.
Because look, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a Virgo, and I've always struggled with being like perfect or like people not liking something. And you know what? Now that I've gotten older, I'm like, you know what? I am who I am. If you don't like my style, if you don't like me, then screw you. Like, it's true.
In a polite it's true way, because screw you, thank you.
Yes, my friends love me. I love me. God loves me. And I know that I'm good. Can I be better? Absolutely. Everybody could be better. Yeah. But if I wait till I am a master at all things, like I'm never going to get there because I am so scared to even try. Yeah. So you guys got to try. You got to learn to just get better.
Yeah. I find myself having this conversation a lot with different types of creative people. Yeah. I feel like your creativity can be your biggest setback.
Oh, absolutely.
Because as a creative, it's natural for you to have a lot of creative thoughts and ideas and be stuck up here in your head with all of those ideas and seeing the vision of like how amazing it can be. But then it's how do you get it to be like, how do you turn whatever you're seeing in your head into a reality? And that's when I find myself having the conversation with people of, it is a process.
It is a process.
It is absolutely a lot of hard work and time. And I always say what you said, like you need to be consistent. It's a lot. It takes a lot of consistency because think about it this way, like every time you repeat a step, you are getting better at that step. No matter what it is, anything. Yeah,
it's true. We've even done it before. Yeah. You and I, how like I had a vision for something, it didn't come out the way that I envisioned it, and then you're like, okay, that means we need to do this, and this like before, so then we do create that. Like it's a learning process.
It doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Yeah. It just means it takes a different route to get to whatever it is your vision is. And you adapt as you go. Like what you said, if you look at your content from when you started, it was not perfect. And same with me. Like it definitely is still not perfect. There's a lot of things that I definitely tweak as I go.
Always.
But the one thing that I tell myself, even with this podcast, like never to do is don't let your creativity or your expectation of what it should be hold you back from achieving one little thing today. Yeah. You know, it's like true. With this podcast, people ask me all the time, like, when is it going up on YouTube? I'm like, it's gonna go up, but right now what I know I can do fast is the audio. So I focus on putting the audio, like, as soon as I can get it ready, and then learn every day to get better at editing so I can then release my YouTube. And it's coming, but I don't let that stop me from releasing my podcast.
Yes, because then you might wait forever because you don't have time to edit. You don't have time to do it. It's so many things. You just need to be focused. And you know, another thing, I've been reading a book. It's so good. Everything is figure outable. That's the book's name.
I love that.
And it's so, you guys,
that's a book that I would read.
It. You should read it.
Everything is,
everything is figure outable. Her name is Marie Forleo. I recommend that book. I bought it for my sister. I'm like, this book is life-changing because when you think about it, everything is figure outable. It does not matter what it is.
Love that.
If it's this huge problem that you have, the way to fix the problem, you might have to take like 20 steps, but each step is figure outable, right? Yep. Maybe from A to Z, it's not, but A to 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. You know what I'm saying? To get there is figure outable, and that's how like you take a lot of stress off of you. And you know, you got to do the best that you can, but really do it.
And you know what? One thing that helps me a lot going on what you just said is once you see the steps, like for me, I like writing down the steps. When I have too many thoughts in my head, I tend to start getting anxiety.
And then you don't do anything.
And that when I get anxiety, it shuts down my energy. Yeah. So like now that I know that about myself, what I do is I take time to go, when I'm having those days where the thoughts are just endless, I sit down and I start writing things down and then categorizing it. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but for me, it just happens really easy. It works for me. I write it down and then I go, okay, and I could do this first, and I could do that, and I look at like the written format of my thoughts, and then I go, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. I could do this one today,
Yeah.
then go into that one next week. And,
Absolutely.
And then all the anxiety, all of a sudden, like, oh, it's gone. I'm like,
but there's something about writing things down. When you visually see the things that you need to do step by step, I think it really does help.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that, and I think it's a game changer.
and it makes it more of like an attainable. You
Yeah.
can see it as like, oh, I can see myself doing this now.
Yeah.
Not like just overwhelming myself by the idea of all the things I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah, there's so many things. But yeah, I mean, just be consistent with your stuff.
Yes.
That's the moral of the story. Be
I
consistent.
love it. And there's been so many quotable moments in today's podcast.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, well, okay. Give yourself a shout out. Where can people find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
Okay, well, you guys can follow me at Miss Renata, MISSRENATA, on Instagram. My website, you'll find a link on there too. It's renatabresciani.com. And I am on TikTok now.
Yes, I didn't know that. Okay, I'm gonna find you right now.
You can find me, yeah. It's gonna be more
now.
funny things. Renata Bresciani on TikTok. And yeah, just find me on those places and you'll see me around.
I'm like this. Sorry, that was TikTok. I'm trying to follow Renata.
Yeah. So you'll see me around. But mostly, if you want to see a lot of my fashion things and my acting, you'll see it on Instagram. TikTok is just for fun. But yeah, Miss Renata.
What are you doing on TikTok? I'm literally pulling it up right now.
I'm just posting like funny things. You know, I'm just going to do it really fun.
What's your TikTok? Say it one more time.
Renata, RENATA
yes.
Bresciani. I posted something for Thanksgiving.
I feel like you would be really good at
with
TikTok.
a turkey. Well, Victor's gonna be, my husband's gonna make a lot of cameos on TikTok.
Really?
Because he's hilarious.
I found him.
So
I already saw him. His
yeah,
bald
but I don't
head.
think I'm gonna do a lot of fashion things. I think it's gonna be, I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I'm not taking TikTok like.
I love your profile picture.
Oh, thank you.
So she's like,
Yeah, I'm not taking TikTok so seriously in the sense that like I'm gonna do like this whole branding thing, you know. I think it's just gonna be more for fun.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's. I started a TikTok and I really don't know how to focus on it yet. But what I've been doing is playing around. Like
Yeah, just
whatever
playing around,
random
getting
thoughts
to
I
know.
have or content that I feel would work on it, I use it. You know what's crazy is that I'm way better at coming up with ideas for other people's TikTok than
Yeah?
for myself.
That's so funny.
Literally, I've given people a ton of ideas and they've worked.
Well, I like the viral things, like the
Yeah.
challenges, you know,
Yes,
those
yes,
things.
yes.
Those are fun, and I think it's just that's what I want to do. I think just like funny things, nothing crazy. I'll maybe do like some style stuff, but not
We'll see.
not like crazy. Because TikTok is a young audience. It's supposed to be
true.
fun. It's not,
Yeah. People for sure are having fun on it.
yeah, not crazy.
Yeah, I look at a lot of different brands and like people that are like top creators or whatever
Yeah.
to kind of get inspired by what they do.
Yeah, it's just really fun stuff.
Well, I can't wait to follow along in your
Yay.
TikTok journey and in your acting journey.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you were able to stop by and have un cafecito
Yes,
with me.
thank you.
Yes, we both drank all of our
All of it is gone.
Yes. So yes, everyone, follow Renata. Stay tuned to her journey. I'm
Yes.
sure she's going to be up to some amazing things. Hopefully you get inspired and motivated by her journey. And I hope you were able to get a lot of value from our conversation today.
Definitely.
Yeah, so, and make sure to follow Dance Biz Cafecito on Instagram and Spotify, and then subscribe on YouTube. It's going to be up real soon. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next episode.
Bye, guys.